They say when you let go of someone you love, it tears in silence. No explosions, just stillness. The kind that lingers in your chest long after they've walked away. And that's how I remember Adrian. The last time I saw him, it was raining. The kind of rain that soaked through your skin like it wanted to remind you, you're still alive, just barely. We stood outside the station, neither of us holding an umbrella. He didn't flinch, didn't beg, just looked at me like I was breaking something sacred between us. I can't do this anymore, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Not when I'm always the one waiting. He looked down at the ground, then back at me. I never asked you to wait. Exactly. And just like that, I turned and walked away. That should have been the end. But endings are rarely that clean. 3 years passed. I built a new life in a new city. New friends. A new job. I learned to laugh again. To wake up without checking my phone for a name that never called. I convinced myself I was okay, happy, even until last week, when my sister called from our hometown and said, "He's back, Adrian." I asked, the name catching in my throat. She sighed. "He moved back a few days ago." I thought you should know. I didn't ask why or how. I just stood in the middle of my kitchen, holding a cold cup of coffee and a heart that never really healed. I told myself not to care. I told myself I wasn't that girl anymore, the one who begged for love crumbs. But the thing about buried feelings is they don't stay buried. They ferment, they wait. And Mine came rushing back like a wave that had been waiting for its tide. Tonight, I'm back in the same town, not for him at least. That's the lie I keep repeating. I'm here for my niece's birthday, just a coincidence. A perfectly timed, painful coincidence. Until I saw him. It was at the bookstore. He was standing there, flipping through a dog-eared copy of The Great Gatsby, the same book he used to read out loud to me in bed, his voice curling around Fitzgerald's, words like silk. I froze. He didn't see me at first. But when he did, God, his eyes locked on mine like no time had passed, like he'd been waiting for me to appear. I should have walked away. Instead, I stood there, breath caught, heart thundering. "Emma," he said. Just my name. No apology, no smile. Just my name. Like it meant something. "Adrian." I didn't think you'd come back. I didn't either. Silence stretched between us, heavy, with everything we never said. Then he asked, "Do you still hate me?" I swallowed. No, I just stopped waiting. That made him flinch. He closed the book, stepped closer. "I don't blame you." I forced a smile. "Don't flatter yourself." He chuckled softly, like the sound had been caged inside him too long. And then he did something I wasn't ready for. He reached out and brushed a strand of hair behind my ear just like he used to. "I never stopped thinking about you," he said, voice raw. "Not once." I stepped back. Because this wasn't fair. Because my chest ached. Because I wanted to believe him. But I couldn't afford to. "You don't get to say that now," I whispered, blinking fast. "Not after all this time." He nodded slowly. "Then let me prove it." I stared at him, this man who once shattered me. And in that moment, something inside me cracked. But before I could speak, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my sister. Can you come home now? Olivia's crying for you. Right? Real life. My niece. My reason for being here. I turned back to Adrian. I have to go, I said. His eyes softened. Okay. As I stepped past him, I didn't look back, but his voice followed me. Emma, this isn't over. You'd think after 3 years apart, I would have built immunity. Like heartbreak would somehow vaccinate you from relapse. It doesn't. Because when I woke up the next morning, I wasn't thinking about Olivia's birthday or my train ride home. I was thinking about Adrian and the way he said my name like it still belonged to him. I tried to shake it off. I braided Olivia's hair, smiled through breakfast, laughed when she smeared chocolate frosting on my cheek. But the truth was, I was unraveling beneath every little moment that reminded me this town still held pieces of me I never truly reclaimed. It didn't help that I ran into him again that afternoon, at the farmer's market of all places, standing by a table of sunflowers. He looked up just as I reached for the same bunch. Of course. Still your favorite, he said, his voice soft. I didn't answer, just gently took the bouquet and started walking. But he followed me. You don't have to run, Emma. I stopped, turned to him slowly. I'm not running. I just know better now. He nodded like he respected that, but then stepped closer. Anyway, I was a coward, he admitted. Back then, I thought loving you meant setting you free so you could have something better. I laughed bitterly. You didn't set me free. You let me go. His jaw tensed. Because I thought I wasn't enough. I thought I'd drag you down. And you never thought to ask what I wanted. Silence. People passed us in slow motion. Kids screamed over melting popsicles. A couple laughed too loud near the kettle corn stand. But we just stood there, two ghosts arguing over who buried who first. I was angry for a long time. I told him, you didn't just break my heart, Adrian. You made me believe I wasn't worth staying for. His face crumbled. I'm sorry, he whispered. I know that doesn't fix anything. But I am. I should have walked away. Again. Closed the chapter for good. But instead, I whispered, why now? Because I came back for you. That hit like thunder. I blinked. You don't get to say that. I mean it. You always meant it. That was never the problem. We stood in the middle of the crowd, tethered by something we pretended didn't exist anymore. And yet, it pulsed between us. Undeniable. He reached into the bag slung over his shoulder and pulled out a small, weathered notebook. My therapist told me to write down the things I was afraid to say out loud. This, he handed it to me, is yours. I didn't take it. I couldn't. Because I knew if I opened it, I wouldn't survive it. I'm not her anymore, I said. I don't cry at night hoping you'll call. I don't wait by the window. I don't beg the universe for signs. I know, he said, but I think, maybe I still love you. My breath caught. Maybe. Not I do. Not uncertain. And yet he stepped forward again, closer than comfort. I should have moved, but his hand came up to cradle my jaw, thumb brushing against my cheek like it remembered the map of me. His eyes searched mine for permission. And before I could give it or stop it, he kissed me. It wasn't slow. It was urgent. Starved. Like we were making up for all the days we didn't. All the nights we dreamed of it, but didn't speak. His mouth tasted like regret and hope all at once. And for a moment, I let myself fall into him. And God help me, I kissed him back. Because my body still knew his. Because my heart, no matter how bruised, still remembered its rhythm when he held it. But then I pulled away, breathless, furious. What the hell was that? I snapped. He looked shaken. Something I've needed for 3 years. I stared at him like he was a fire I couldn't step away from. You don't get to kiss me like that. You don't get to show up and hijack my peace. He looked at me like he wanted to say something else, anything else, but I didn't give him the chance. I turned. I walked out, and this time, I cried. Because loving someone who broke you is like standing in a house they once burned down, hoping maybe, somehow, it won't catch fire again. The kiss should have never happened. But it did, and I carried it with me like a bruise visible only to the part of me that still felt 17 and foolish. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt his lips on mine, the way his hands steadied my face like I was something fragile, precious. But we were long past precious. By morning, my bags were packed. I told my sister I was catching the evening train. She gave me a look, one of those knowing, older sister stares, but said nothing. I needed distance, air, anything to drown out the wildfire that Adrian had relit in my chest. So I drove to the cliffs. It was our place once, the overlook where we'd parked just before sunset, sharing silence and secrets until the stars came out. I didn't expect him to be there, but of course, he was, leaning against his car, arms crossed, eyes scanning the ocean like he was waiting for the tide to bring something back. Me, apparently. You always did run here when your world felt too loud, he said, not looking at me. I should be surprised you remembered that. I never forgot anything about you. I hated how easily those words sank into me, like they belonged there. I folded my arms, kept my distance. He finally turned. His eyes were tired, honest. I'm not here to convince you, he said. I just needed to see you again, before you left. You don't get to keep showing up, Adrian, I know, and kissing me like nothing's changed. I know that too. Silence settled, not awkward, just heavy, like grief. I'm trying to move on, I whispered. From me? From what I felt for you. His lips parted like he wanted to argue, but instead, he walked toward me slowly, carefully, like approaching a wounded animal. I used to lie awake wondering if you hated me. I did. He nodded. I deserve that. I don't want to hate you anymore, I said. But I don't know how to forget you, either. He was so close now I could feel his warmth, that old familiar pull. I wrote you letters, he said, every week, for a year. My chest tightened. You never sent them. I couldn't. I was too ashamed. Of what? Leaving me. He looked down. Of loving you and still choosing fear over you. Those words cracked something open in me. You don't get it, I said. You were my safe place. And then, you became the reason I stopped believing in love. He winced, like I had struck him. I know, he said. That's what I've been trying to live with, every day. He pulled something from his jacket pocket, a letter. Faded, crumpled, like it had been read 100 times. Read it, he said. pressing it into my hand. Later, when you're alone, I stared at it. Not ready, not yet. He started to walk back to his car, then paused. I'm not expecting anything, Emma. I needed you to know I never stopped loving you. I just didn't know how to show it back then. And with that, he left again. But this time, it felt different. He wasn't running. He wasn't chasing. He was just letting go. That night, I sat on the bed I grew up in and unfolded the letter. His handwriting was still messy, slanted, familiar. Dear Emma, there isn't a day that passes where I don't think of the girl with stars in her eyes who loved me. Despite everything, I ruined us. I know that, but I never stopped carrying you with me. Every sunset, every song, every quiet morning. I hope one day you find someone brave enough to stay. But if you ever wondered just once if I still love you, the answer is yes. Always, yes. Adrian, I cried, not because I was sad, but because for the first time in 3 years, I believed he meant it. The next morning, my niece ran into my room, tugging on my hand. Come see, she said. Someone left flowers on the porch. I followed her, half asleep. It was sunflowers. A bouquet, wrapped in the same dog-eared Great Gatsby page he used to quote. One line circled in red ink. So we beat on boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. Below it, one sentence scribbled in his messy scrawl. If you're ready, I'm still here. It's funny how something as simple as a flower on your doorstep can shatter every wall you've spent years rebuilding. I stared at that bouquet of sunflowers, my sunflowers, and I knew I wasn't done. Not with him, not with us. But knowing and acting on it. Those were two different kinds of bravery. Still, I didn't get on that train. I called my boss, told her I needed a few more days. She asked if everything was okay. I said, I'm not sure, but I was starting to hope that it could be. Later that evening, I walked to the old cabin by the lake, our old escape, the place we used to sneak away to when the world got too loud. It hadn't changed. Same worn porch swing, same chipped red door. Adrian was sitting on the steps. His head shot up when he saw me, like he wasn't sure I'd actually come. I got your flowers, I said, stopping a few feet from him. He stood, brushing off his jeans. I wasn't sure if you'd. I almost didn't. But you did. I nodded, my voice quiet. I read the letter. He swallowed, nervous. And I cried. A soft, wounded smile touched his lips. Me too. When I wrote it, we stood there for a beat, just staring. The air between us thick with everything we hadn't said. I'm not here to pick up where we left off, I said. That version of us, she died. He looked down, then back up at me. Then let's build something new, something honest. I hesitated. I'm scared, I admitted. He stepped forward. So am I. His hands were shaking as he reached for mine. Not forceful, not urgent. Just there. And for the first time in years, I didn't pull away. His touch felt like a memory alive again. I've changed, he said. I've been doing the work, therapy, journaling, learning how to show up, not just disappear. I nodded slowly. I've changed too. He smiled. I can see that. You're stronger now, even when you're hurting. I looked up at him, heart thudding. You broke me, Adrian, I know, and you might never be able to fix that. I don't want to fix it, he said. I just want to earn your trust again, one day at a time. That was the moment. Not the kiss, not the letter. This was the moment I let him in, not fully, not blindly, but enough to breathe. Let's go inside, I said softly. We sat on the floor of a dusty old cabin. No furniture left, just candlelight and the sound of cicadas through the cracked windows. He told me everything about the year he left, the panic attacks, the guilt, the way he drowned in his own fear of failure. I thought loving you would mean ruining you, he said, but I didn't realize that leaving you was worse. I listened, not because I owed him that, but because a part of me needed to hear it. Somewhere between the tears and the honesty, I leaned into him, and he didn't rush it. He didn't kiss me. He just wrapped his arms around me and held me like something sacred. And in that moment, I remembered why I ever loved him in the first place. It wasn't the grand gestures, it was the quiet ones. The ones that whispered, I see you. I choose you. We stayed like that until the moon rose. I don't know what this is, I murmured against his shoulder. Neither do I, he whispered back. But I want to find out with you. I pulled back to look into his eyes. What if I still hate you sometimes? Then I'll still love you anyway. I smiled, despite myself. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel lost. I felt home. But just as peace started to settle in my chest, my phone buzzed again. A message from someone I hadn't heard from in over a year. Emma, I'm back in town. We need to talk. Noah. My breath hitched, because Noah wasn't just anyone. He was the one who helped me survive losing Adrian, the one I almost gave my heart to. There are moments in life when the past and the future collide, and in the space between those two worlds, you have to choose who you're going to be. I stared at the message on my phone for a long time. Emma, I'm back in town. We need to talk. Noah. The man who helped me breathe again when love felt like poison. The one who never asked me to forget Adrian but promised he'd never leave like he did. I never told Noah everything, never let him in fully, because even at my most broken, part of me was still tethered to someone else. Still, when Noah left for his job overseas, I cried, because he was kind, safe, the kind of man who didn't make love feel like war, but safe never set my soul on fire. Now here I was wrapped in Adrian's arms, while the past knocked on my chest from another door. I slipped my phone back into my pocket. Adrian looked at me. Everything okay? I forced a smile. It's just someone I haven't seen in a long time. He nodded, like he sensed more but didn't push. I should go, I said. He stood with me. Can I see you tomorrow? I don't know. I left the cabin with a storm in my heart. That night, I didn't sleep again, because both men had held me at different points in my life. Both had loved me in their own imperfect ways, but only one had truly broken me. And now, he wanted to be the one to put me back together. The next morning, I met Noah at the coffee shop near the pier. He stood when he saw me, smile warm, eyes soft. Emma, Noah. We hugged, awkward, familiar. You look good, he said. So, do you? We sat. Small talk filled the first few minutes, safe, gentle things. But we both knew why we were here. He finally said it. I heard Adrian's back. I nodded. And he's different. Is he? His tone wasn't cruel, just tired. Different enough to not hurt you again. I sighed. I don't know. Noah reached across the table, fingers brushing mine. I came back because I realized something. I was willing to wait. I still am. But I won't be your second choice. The words hit hard. Because he was right. I care about you, Noah. But you don't love me not the way you loved him. I swallowed the ache in my throat. I wanted to. I know, he said gently. But wanting isn't the same as feeling. We sat in silence. Then he leaned back and smiled softly. Go to him. If there's even a chance he's changed, go find out. Just promise me something. What? That you won't lose yourself. Trying to love him again. Tears welled in my eyes. I promise. He stood, kissed my forehead, and just like that, Noah let me go. I walked straight to Adrian's place. I didn't text. I didn't call. I needed to look him in the eye and speak without filters. He opened the door and froze. Emma, we need to talk. He stepped aside. Inside, the room still smelled like cedar wood and memory. I turned to him. I saw Noah. His jaw clenched, but he stayed quiet. He said something. That he wouldn't be my second choice. Adrian nodded, slowly. He's right. I stepped closer. I don't know how to trust you again, Adrian. I don't know how to unremember the pain. But I also know you're not just a chapter I can close. His eyes softened. Then let me write the next one with you. I took a deep breath. No promises. No rushing, just one day at a time. He reached for my hand. That's all I'm asking. I let him take it. And in that moment, it wasn't about the past or the people we used to be. It was about now. About choosing love. Not because it was easy, but because it was real. He pulled me into a kiss, slow, reverent. And when we finally pulled apart, he whispered, I said goodbye once, and I've regretted it every day since. I smiled. Well, this time, I said, you kissed me hello.